Alright, I actually lied. This will be part 3 since kind of changed the order after starting. So thanks again, Jay Sense, for the interview. Pretty interesting chat there. And like I said, I talked to you on Instant Messenger a little bit more. I will get FIFA and I will see you on there along with Modern Warfare. So with that being said, looking at the cup there, you can see the games have already been played as we start to narrow down and get to the Sweet 16. So about half the games played. So got some interesting matchups. I like the Nebraska, South Florida, Oklahoma State, and Stanford, Steam, and Louis. That should be a good one. Though I won't be playing East Carolina. Nevada is having a pretty good run so far, both in the Cup and in the season. So it'll be interesting to see how he does in that game. And moving into the next block, Week 7. If I can get my brain to slow down a little bit. You can see there those two games. Hawaii, another win, 35-3. I believe this was a pick 6. It's Florida in a rout against Wake Forest. Like I said, they're getting back on track. Kent State, Nick picking up a win against Northern Illinois. Further put some distance between him and Trendon. Penn State 28-25. Sorry, I had a yellow light, so still in the process of downloading stuff. This is a big game here, and I'll get to this later, but Miami a big win against VTech. Georgia Tech conference win against Maryland. Moved to 3-4. Inside joke with that record. Ohio 38-28 over said Coach Trendon. Missouri keeping things rolling along, 31-17 over Kansas State. Temple, a MAC game, 31-28 over Ball State. And Pitt, once again, another big game for them out of conference, another win. And Troy loses by a field goal to ULM. UConn, 36 over South Florida. In battle of ranked teams, Hug Me struggle in this one. Western Kentucky, 21-7 in a Sun Belt Conference game. And I believe that was a pick. And going into highlights here, you can see there a nice little hurdle. If I was throwing to that guy and had to tackle him, I'd be kind of scared and nervous too. And then the seam route up the middle gets picked off. And what looks like a cold game. Don't remember. I think Utah State. So I could see it being cold there. Seeing how Colorado got snow a little earlier in the week. And the pitch there. And a touchdown for, I believe, Fresno. It should be, because I think Quack is the one doing these pretty awesome highlights. And you can see there, Fresno 13-3 over Utah State. Good running game by Rouse. And UCLA keeps rolling along. Road win in conference play against Washington State 24-7. And looking what else is missed here. Those are all there. Yep, those are all there too. Nebraska by 2 over Ohio State. Texas 14-10 against Oklahoma. So Red River shootout goes the way of Texas this time. Georgia 27-7 over Tennessee in an SEC East battle. Wyoming and Beefy picking up a win in 2014. Good job, Beefy. So we're starting to get more into conference play now, so that'll be the focus with a few OOC games mixed in, but we'll take a look at the conference picture later. But looking at some other big games that are still out there, you got the Arkansas Auburn. Auburn's been having pretty good showings. Haven't been able to win some of these close games, but they've been in pretty much all of them. And Stanford and Colorado. I have faith that Donkey and Stewart will help make that a very interesting game. Houston and East Carolina, now that Randolph is back, I think he's back. So that should be a good passing game against the run. North Carolina and Notre Dame just seems like a cool game on paper. And Air Force and San Diego State battle of the running games. LSU and Florida. LSU with their midseason slide. Florida starting to peak. And moving into week 8. Trendon picking up a win, 49-37 over Temple. Army gets the run game going, come from behind, 28-18 over Troy. And then going to highlights here, you can see there a pick. And I believe that, did he go all the way back? Yeah. Sad to see that one guy just to know for sure. Pick 6 in the battle. I think this is a battle to Michigan Central and Eastern. You can see a touchdown there. And a good piece of running there. Bounce out. And that is going to be a touchdown for CMU as they win 21-14. Some struggles in the passing game for Eastern Michigan. And Washington picks up a road win against Colorado. And Florida State, again, a win as they start to get things going against the ranked Duke. Nevada, conference win against Fresno, 30-27. Balanced attack. And there's a picture of, I believe, I don't remember if it's Ball or White that broke that one. You can see there, up the middle and bouncing it out to the right for the touchdown as they win 35-17. Heavy rush attack, no surprise. Virginia remains undefeated as they get a balanced attack, beating Georgia Tech 28-14 on the road. And a cool picture there. You have Utah State against Louisiana Tech, throwing in a double coverage and coming away with the catch there. Later in the game, you can see this one would not work out so well. The pick and the kneel. And in territory again, and another pick. And be able to slither his way to the outside, but gets tackled. But a pick there, and that has to be pretty depressing. You get picked, hurdle, trying to switch to pick the ball off, and then still end up getting it ran back on you for a touchdown. So you're able to avoid a player and take it the distance. And then this little short goal line run, looks like a yard, inches. This is Louisiana Tech pitches a shutout, 21-0 over Utah State. Kansas State, 28-16 over Nittler. Pass-heavy game. Miami on a roll, 31-10 over UNC. Hawaii with a close game. They pick up another win, 34-31 on the road. TCU, good running game by Wesley as they knock off New Mexico. And then just looking at the pictures here of an overtime game, Florida against Auburn. You see Demps, who I know now I fear probably more than any NCAA player that I feared since Daniel Thomas. And depressing running backs. You can see there Florida is able to hang on there and pick up the win. Virginia Tech trying to get things together in the second half, a win over Wake Forest. USC knocks off Cal, good game by Matt throwing the ball. And then looking at other games in Week 8, those are all on there. Those are all on there as well. Really need to come up with a better way of doing this. Or at least a way of being able to record my voice and move this faster. This is kind of boring even just watching this. Florida Atlantic, 17-14 over Middle Tennessee State in a Sun Belt matchup. I see there Mississippi State, 38-13 over South Carolina. Just what I need, as I know he's going to beat the crap out of me. Those are on there. So looking at other games, Boise and Air Force should be a pretty big one. What else stands out? South Florida and Cincinnati. The Big East is a lot better than people. I think they were kind of knocked last season, and they're in Avenger mode right now, knocking other people off and out of conference play. So that should be a pretty good game. Kansas, Oklahoma. Got my eye on those two, see how that game goes. It'll be a pass-heavy game, so it'll be exciting to watch at least. And, yeah, the Battle of Michigan and Michigan State, this time at the Big House. And then looking at stats here, we're going to take a look at the NCAA overall, and you can see Trendon loves to pass the ball, leads the league in attempts. Duke in yards, and Hawaii in completions. Hawaii also in touchdowns. And interceptions, usually the more passes you throw, the more likely you are to be picked off. But one of the quick ways to see how good a team is doing is looking at where they rank on interceptions. If you have a lot, you're probably losing games because the turnovers can make things spiral out of control pretty quick in this game. And then look at rushing the ball. We've already got one guy that's over 1,000 yards, Scott with Duke, and a couple that will follow shortly in their next game or next two. So again, running the ball in this year's game is helping to negate some issues. It really sucks that guy for Idaho 4 fumbles. And it's hard when you don't have a great team talent-wise and you can't hold on to the ball running, because you really need that. And then going to the receiving stats. Again, Duke just, I guess, a high-powered offense in general. They pass, they run, they do both well. And Indiana, as always, Brev, he's going to pass the ball, and he's thrown some picks this year, but still got some guys up there. As always, potent passing attack when he can get it going. It'd be nice if we could have a few more of those on this year's game, but I've seen some UConn's doing pretty well passing the ball. There's some other teams they're not coming to me off the top of my head, so but we'll see in a few as we go through this part of the video. Offensive line. No one really cares about this, I guess. Pancakes are hard to come by, and sacks allowed happen pretty often on this game. Then go to defense. You got a guy from the Sun Belt leading the team, the NCAA in tackles. And that guy there, can't see his name because the screen's a little too small for me, but Pitt, 22 tackles for loss, 14 sacks. I'm pretty safe to say that their pass rush must be pretty damn good, as he has picked up some pretty big wins. I didn't get a chance to look at the box score for his game against Dave or Cincinnati, but I'm pretty sure that was a factor in it too. Interceptions, again, Duke up there. Got two guys with double digits pass deflections and pick sixes, fumble sixes, whatever. Always a bunch of those. And fumbles, I get the feeling that fumbles are down. I don't want to say for sure that they are, because I don't want Trendon raging at me too, like he's doing with Untouchable. But something tells me that fumbles don't happen as often on this game, or at least stat-wise compared to other seasons. But then again, we're only about halfway through. We'll see what things look like at the end to compare. Probably should have looked at it first, Trendon will, so I'll let him do that work. And all right, that works for me. Field goals. It's nice to see missed field goals. I'm going to say it probably attributes to the weather, being able to have the wind as a factor instead of, playing every game in 100-degree or 70-degree weather. That's nice with no breeze at all every game during the middle of the day. Kick returns and punt returns. Congrats to you two that have punt returns. Rare feat in this game. So, awesome. But now we're going to look conference by conference, since Trendon gave me the idea of actually going into each conference a little bit in his rant from the last one. Not really rant, just observation. So looking at the ACC, you can see Florida State leads the Atlantic off to a pretty good run. And we're going to take a look here and see who they have remaining. Very nice stadium, of course. They've got Miami, NC State, and NC State's going to be the Miami game will be big too, of course, but the NC State game, since it's in the division, is going to be a big one. Let's see if Plasma can weasel his way back into the title picture by winning his conference and winning out. And then in the Coastal, you see Miami and Virginia are both undefeated. Duke has a loss to Miami, so that's going to knock them down a peg. Or was it to Florida State? I think it was to Florida State. I take that back. Duke's still in the picture, but yeah, VTech they've had their struggles this year. That loss to Miami is going to really hurt their chances of being able to repeat and win the division and get into the title game. But you can see there Miami, Duke, and Florida State, and can't forget Virginia's undefeated. So that will be a tough one. I know this was recorded early, but I know he already beat Georgia Tech. It was a 10-9 game, pretty close. Taylor wins, and he wins the tight ones, and I think that'll help him out as we go down the stretch. So looking at the stats in the ACC on the season, you can see, Duke's been winning games. It's no surprise that they are putting up points, and you can see there are a lot of interceptions, but 12 TD passes and a lot of yards, a lot of everything, just passing the ball. But Miami has the best quarterback rating, more efficient, which is why they only have one loss right now. And running, I think this conference in general got an influx of running-minded coaches. So you see the big stats there, and it's only, I'd say probably you could see 9-10 guys with 1,000 yards by the end of the season. And I would not be surprised. Looking at receiving, you can see Duke's on there a couple of times. Again, offensive line, it really kind of doesn't matter. Well, to me at least. It'd just be nice if they block, but yeah. Look defensively, you've got about 50 tackles, a couple guys close to that. Some pass deflections. FSU, I believe, is on there twice. The fast schools, the Miami guys are on there. Florida guys are on there. And we got special teams. Not very accurate as far as putting the ball inside the 20. And 4 kick returns in the ACC. And no punt returns, I believe. Yep. So that is it for the ACC. So moving along to, I believe, the Big 12. And looking at how things are going for them, you've got Texas and Missouri that are both undefeated in conference play. And you've got a couple other teams. But for these guys, it's still kind of early, so still waiting for the pitcher to pan out. Well, for most it will be, but, I'd say probably 2 more blocks. We'll get a better idea of where some of these teams sit in their quest for contending for a conference championship. You can see there, still got Missouri. That will be a home game for Texas, though, and that'll help them out. Both of them have already knocked off Oklahoma, so the big, talented team is gone out the picture. But then you've also still got Kansas State to worry about for Texas, so that's another one to circle and look out for. And on the other side, Baylor and Griffin will make things difficult, as will Oklahoma State. And, of course, the game against Texas. So we'll see and leading up to that game how those teams are going to be competing. Then we look at stats. No surprise, Jones is passing the ball everywhere. And sorry for all the OU fans today to see Broyles go down. So they lose another offensive star, and that's really going to hurt them down the stretch. Even though on this game, apparently he can't catch worth crap. So I've seen in scrimmages and stat box scores in a couple games between the last couple of coaches. Running the ball, this conference doesn't really run the ball a lot. They pass, just like they do in real life. And you can see there, Broyles still is 7th with 12 catches, but it seems these teams are spreading the ball around, so you really can't focus on that one guy in this conference. Everyone has weapons. Offensive line, skipped over that, of course. Sacks, no surprise, Texas is undefeated. You see tackles for loss and sacks up there. Pass deflections, let's see, 2 guys up there. I know there's interceptions by Texas Tech because we've been able to see a lot of their highlights with those this season. And I see field goal, punt stats. 58-yarder by Texas. I believe that's the longest of the season, so as long as he remains perfect, that's an inside track to the award. Was it the Grossa Award? So throw that out there. Couple kick returns. I think Mizzou, I can't see the second one in Texas Tech. And no punt returns. So that's it for the Big 12. Moving to the Big East. Picture changes a little because, again, I recorded this before. So you had UConn undefeated, and you had Cincinnati undefeated. Neither are anymore, and Pitt has won over both of them. So they both have a loss, and Pitt is now sitting at 3-1 in conference play. So that really shakes up the conference picture and shakes up the title picture, too, as Dave's going to go down in the polls. I feel like I jinxed him. I'm sorry. Looking at that, of course, UConn, a good passing attack, which is what's helped him. Dave just has a good handle on his offense on this year's game. Look at Receiving, Syracuse up there, Van Chu, no surprise. Barras is going to pass the ball, and he's going to find ways to get that guy open. And like I said earlier, Pitt, a bunch of sacks, turnovers. That's what they're doing, generate pressure and making the splash plays. So congrats to the Pitt defense in this current block of Week 9 and 10. And for what they've accomplished so far this season, pretty impressive run. And you can see there some fumbles. And moving along to special teams, a little inaccurate in this conference as far as kicks. I don't think that is anything like really too observant, because I don't think it will matter down the stretch and as bowl season comes along. And you see there are 2 kick returns and no punt returns. So we'll see how that conference pans out and see what if Pitt can hang in there. And plus South Florida having a loss too, that makes things interesting. 4 teams there. Then looking at the Big Ten, we've got Michigan. Conference play just getting started, so some rough stretches. Michigan State struggled out of conference. Nebraska picked up some big wins. Michigan, a tough loss in Notre Dame. And then looking on the other side, Penn State struggled out of conference. We'll see how they do once they really get deep into conference play. That game against Wisconsin is going to be a big one, because now Wisconsin will probably move up to be ranked number 1. I don't remember if they were ranked 2 or 3. But, Wisconsin's going to be up there. Now they're going to have the bullseye on them. So let's see how they handle the pressure. Coach T-Way's pretty successful run so far, running the ball well, not turning the ball over and making the plays that he needs to make. But I know he's beaten Nebraska already. Who else did he beat? Can't remember. I think it was Indiana. So you got Nebraska out the way. I mean, you still got to go through Penn State. I know he has to go through Michigan State too. So it's not going to be an easy road. And you can see there, Indiana, Brev passing the ball. And that's what he does. And probably going to have multiple guys up there and continue to at season's end. Defensively, it's no surprise to see a lot of Nebraska guys up there. They're pretty, at least from what I got to see for them this season and talking to various coaches, they tackle well and they rally to the ball. They've earned their black shirts early this season. And looking at special teams, 55-yarder by Purdue and 2 others topping over 50. Pretty much the same here with punts. Not many inside the 20. 3 kick returns out of this conference. 1, or I think that was 2 over 90 yards. And no punt returns along the 35 by Ohio State. So we look at Conference USA. And again, just getting started, so just the conference really in general. East Carolina leading so far. Good start to the season. So we'll see how UA does. Struggled out of conference, but he had a good run in conference play last season. Houston's got his PS3 back. And really, I don't have too much to observation-wise on Conference USA. You can see there Davis leads touchdowns, attempts, completions, running the ball. Tulane's doing a good job of putting the ball on the ground, try to help limit some turnovers, even though they've got 2 guys apiece with 4 fumbles. And that's just bad luck, and I'm sure it has to do with some of the talent gap in the teams that they face out of conference. So you got Case, he's going to pass the ball with Coach Randog, and you can see there, got a guy leading in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. Going to defense, Tulane, tackles, and rightfully so. They're going to have more tackles because they've been behind in games, so probably having to tackle running backs a little bit more. Turnovers, East Carolina, I believe Southern Miss up there with 2 guys. Field goals, 1 over 50. Punts, about the same. Nothing really standing out in the punting game. And 2 kick returns by a guy from Tulsa, so congrats on that. 94 was 1. I don't know how long the other was. I didn't think to look and see. But that's it for that. The independents, not really anything to look over conference-wise. They're just the odd guys out. Notre Dame had a good win against Michigan, a tough loss to Virginia. A little up and down for them. BYU and Army having good seasons. And yeah, that's really it. So with 3 games played, with 3 teams having games played, this is kind of what we're looking at here stat-wise. Army, no surprise at all, as I'm sure most of you know by now. John and his brother, they both run the ball, and they're running well. You can see Army's got a few guys up there, and it's going to be like that all season. So they're gonna put pressure on guys to get a lead early to maybe help pull them out of that some. But it seems like they're pretty committed to it. BYU, Notre Dame, good job defensively, forcing turnovers. So their defenses are playing pretty good. Offense struggle, and you can see their field goals, punts. Not a whole lot going on. Kicks and punt returns. Not much going on there either. So moving along to the MAC, or what I like to call the shit-talking conference. You have Miami of Ohio in front at the moment. You got Kent State at 2-1. You've got Buffalo underneath Nick. Had this been for a while, since it seems like ever since it got brought up to Nick's attention that he was behind, he's went ahead and put in some work. Be interesting, like me and Nick were talking about on Instant Message, if he would be able to win, if Trenton would self-implode, just spontaneously combust with Nick winning the conference that he was in. So we'll see. We'll be rooting for him just to see Trenton's reaction. It'd be pretty funny. And you can see, speaking of Trenton, passing the ball up there and everything, good and bad, as they've been kind of doing a little bit of everything. Rushing, you can see it's a little more diverse. You have 2 backs that are really pulling away, but everyone's making a conscious effort to run. Obviously, Buffalo would have a receiver up there if they're being able to, average 20, 30 attempts a game passing. And you look at defensively, Ohio has got a couple guys up there, really a little bit of everything. It seems like each defense has that one standout guy that's the playmaker. Looking at fumbles, about the same. Buffalo's been involved in fumbles for good and bad. And you can see there punts, kicks, a couple of kick returns. Trenton has 2. Pretty cool. And one of them over 100, and no punt returns. So that is it for the MAC. And moving to the next conference, the Mountain West. We'll see how this pans out. TCU's off to a good start. A little surprising to see Air Force down there. A rough start, had a conference, but they did beat Army, so they're sitting at 500 as they get going heavy into conference play here. Looking at what we got so far, Ryan Lindley actually got just a little side note. For those of you that know, I go to school here at SDSU. I actually got to meet him last year, and he's a really cool dude. It's nice to see. Sometimes you see athletes that are total pricks. Warren Sapp makes me think of that. Understandably so in some cases, but he was really cool, just grabbing lunch and happened to recognize him. For one, he was surprised that he was recognized, but actually sat and talked football with me, and I thought that was pretty cool. Looking at other stuff, of course, since I'm an SDSU guy, I noticed things. Hillman having a good rushing season. Air Force will and is. TCU will and is. Lindley also leading the Mountain West in receptions. You can see there a couple of kick returns, 4 out of this conference. And as with most, no punt returns. And we'll see how things shape up as that conference moves along. Back into one of the BCS conferences, the Pac-12. And Oregon and Stanford both have a conference loss. Probably unexpected for it to happen this early in the season. So at the moment, you've got Washington undefeated. I don't know how that's going to pan out. We shall see. So looking here, and then you see, of course, the bottom, you got USC and UCLA. They'll meet at the end of the season, as Rain has blew a lead against Duke and has come back with a vengeance. But he will have Oregon and Washington and Stanford, for that matter, so that'll be tough. And plus, Colorado's going to run the ball. That'll be a tough one. And then UCLA, a little bit of an easier path, but still tough nonetheless. So looking at stats here, we've got the 6'6", 6'7" monster at Arizona State, passing the ball pretty well, though he's got a lot of picks. Matt has gotten back under control, but the big thing there, you see UCLA is undefeated. The fact that they have a quarterback with a rating over 200 probably speaks a lot to that. Doesn't make many mistakes, though he's not putting himself in tough situations often. So, good job by UCLA defensively. USC, I'm sure, is going to have a lot of guys up here because they're just fast. And you've got a pretty good mix of guys around the league. And kind of, same thing, a few missed field goals in this conference, maybe more than a few. Kick returns, one guy with 2 for USC. Definitely helps game-changing wise. And then UCLA with one of the 2 punts on the season. Punt returns, that is. So you got the SEC. Looking at the East, you've got Florida, who is going to control their own destiny. That matchup with South Carolina is going to be big as the season moves along, and I believe Florida plays Bama too. So you've got those two, and you've got Georgia kind of hovering around, not drawing much attention. Those 3 teams will be competing for the crown in the East. And let's click on Florida and see what they've got going on. So I believe they have Bama and South Carolina still. Yep, Bama, LSU, South Carolina, Georgia. So they definitely have some tough games left, but they're starting to peak now. Talked with the coach after our game. He was a little concerned, but you tend to play better in the second half of the season, so you'll be okay. The West is still a crapshoot after Arkansas beat Bama. Still a long way to go. It's going to be a couple of weeks before we see how things play out in this conference, so not going to really get too much into the other side of it. So you can see there rushing and see highlighted Mr. Newton fumbles the ball. Me and Newton really haven't been getting along this season. Probably yelling at him too much, and he's starting to panic. No surprise. And you can see there T-ball, got a guy up there, receptions and yards. And Rainey is doing pretty much whatever he wants. Him and Demps, for that matter, is they're leading the Florida attack. And then defensively, guys all over the place. SEC West, some very tough defenses. LSU got some guys up there. And field goals, few hits and misses there. Punts, pretty standard. Nothing standing out on punts. And then kick return, you got Arkansas with 1, and I'm pretty sure that would be Florida with the other one. I'll just assume. So 2 conferences left. You got the Sun Belt. I feel bad because when you're in these last 2 conferences, they don't really get much attention just because they're the smaller ones, especially now with Boise leaving the WAC. But the Sun Belt, you can see there, Western Kentucky in the front. Troy's got the most games played, 1 loss. I believe they're 3-1 in conference play. And looking at it, you see Florida National. I don't know if you guys know, Hilton is a monster, and their quarterback has a lot of interceptions, so I'm sure he's trying to get him the ball. And then you've got South Ford and Rainey both running the ball well, which is why both of those teams have the records that they do, playing pretty solid football given the talent of the team. You can see there the offensive line, Troy, having issues with the passing, as you can see, as their whole defense or whole line is up there on sacks allowed. Hopefully that number will come down for them to help make things a little easier. And you can see there Troy also all over the defensive side of the ball as well, sacks, tackles, just everything. So Troy's just got to cut down on the turnovers some, and I think they will be okay as the season goes along. Nothing much really out of special teams. Well, a couple kick returns, but I mean, as far as kicks and punts, nothing. And then we have the last conference to WAC, the WAC minus Boise, so all attention goes away. But this is going to be one of the more interesting races, I believe, because you got Hawaii, Nevada are both undefeated. Yes, Louisiana Tech did lose a game, but they will factor in. And also, I know Chusker has only played one. Chusker always keeps things interesting. He's a very good player on both sides of the ball, balanced guy. He's a good defensive player, to me a little better defensively, so that's going to make it tough for those teams down the stretch. So I'm curious to see who's going to be able to pull away, if anyone does in this conference. You can see Hawaii passes the ball, Nevada runs the ball. When they meet up, we'll see who ends up winning that matchup and who's able to dictate their will on the other side. You can see there Hawaii with a couple guys up there. They pass the ball, they do it well. Pretty good attack there, even out of conference too. So look there at the defense, you can see again Hawaii's got a guy up there, 8 picks, and a different guy with 3 touchdowns. Fresno State getting pressure, and Louisiana Tech, as we've been able to see in this season in highlights, doing pretty good too. And field goals, not much stands out, I guess. Fresno kicking a 54 is pretty cool, and 2 kick returns by Hawaii and a punt return by Hawaii. So special teams, Hawaii just doing a little bit of everything to help them out. And I'm sure those returns probably came at opportune times, as they usually do. So I had something else planned, but since I'm pressed for time, let's just kind of nerf it some here. Just look at NDL, ESPN, some things to look at. The season 23 thread still going on. Untouchable, Trendon probably still searching to find something wrong. And then also with Trendon, this sarcastic game recaps thread, found some pretty funny ones in there. And hopefully he'll keep doing those for the remainder of the season. You've got UCLA Mac with the Heisman thread too, so take a look at that, among other things. Obviously, for more, and I'll probably say it again before this clip is over, also look in your conference, because the conference commissions probably have a couple of things for you guys in there too. What else do we have? Alright, so let me let this thing load. Should probably zoom in some. But we've got NDL, FIFA. Of course, just for some of you guys who don't know, just repeating myself, we kind of have, there's other things going on in the league. The Madden one, you got the thread down here. Where is it? This one, just one thread. I thought maybe something more was going on. Yeah. Let's take a look here. Yeah, Big Mike can connect for Madden, but can't for NCAA. EA fails. Yep, little plug for a online franchise for those of you that are looking at getting some Madden action. Just throw that out there. Something else to do, as there always is to do in this league. There is going to be a couple of games in the next week that will be interesting. FIFA, I will be joining this myself here soon, and probably being the guy that ends up messing up a lot of stuff for the city club, but that's all right. Learn with experience. So you've got FIFA going on, and they're going to keep, as Jason said earlier in the earlier clip, they're going to have stuff going on. So you should definitely look at this if you're a soccer fan, or if you're just interested in finding some guys to play other stuff with. And they've got a pretty solid group there, so definitely check that out. AJ, Jason's, Brev. I've been kind of stalking this thread a little bit, among other things. You know what? Maybe I can see if I can remember my League Daddy information. See about logging into this. Let's see. Take a look. Obviously know what my username was. Password, yeah, I'll go ahead and put it in. What is it? I think it's that. way too many different passwords, and that's probably going to make me forget something. Oh crap, wrong. Alright, yeah, I don't want to get this blocked, 'cause I remember doing that before and it took forever for that to get fixed. Like, hey, it's really me, you should get me back in here. And give it one more try. I remember it was something long after something happened at League Daddy. Okay, that's wrong too. Never mind. We're just going to go ahead and skip that because I do not want to lose this account. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and skip that. And I can't even do a forget password because my email was hacked, so it's not going to send it to the right one. Kind of fucked on that. But yeah, anyway, NDL, FIFA, they've got stuff going on, so take a look at that. Obviously, shooters. There's a shooter coming out next week. I don't know if any of you noticed. So, yeah, that Call of Duty game, I believe it's Modern Warfare 3, comes out on Tuesday. Pretty sure a lot of guys will be getting it. It might be something that you want to check out. Also, Battlefield, NDL Militia. I haven't been able to play with the guys yet because I've been so busy, but I've signed up. I've had some fun with the game, as have others. I have a very cool clip of me trying to fly a helicopter and killing everyone in it by crashing it within 10 seconds of getting off the ground. Good times. A lot of yelling, I'm sure. So, got that. You know what, let's just go ahead and look in general. Well, I guess since I'm here, let me go ahead and vote for Sonic. Catherine, that was a fun game. I'll have to get back into that, but puzzle games are not my thing, and that was very frustrating. But Sonic is always a good thing, and Sonic Generations actually is a pretty good game. I'm happy with it as a Sonic fan. So, looking at PS3, as this video starts to wind down some, thankfully, because I'm running out of time before work. You got Uncharted just came out. Sonic, as I said, just a self-plug for that. And then Modern Warfare and Battlefield, you can see in the top 10 on GameFAQs, no surprise. Yeah, Call of Duty. I think I have the Hardened, whatever it is, the one that has the Elite and the discount on the maps, because I know I'm going to get them, even though I say I'm not, because I don't want to give them money for DLC, and I'm a whore, and I'll do it anyway. So, yeah, let's go ahead and look and see just in general for the rest of the year. I don't think there's anything really majorly big I can think of after this month, really. Sorted by North America. What do we have? Of course, Call of Duty. Oh, well, while most of you guys will be obsessing over Call of Duty there, I will be looking forward to the other release. There's Heavy Rain before I get to that. $29.99 for those of you that didn't get a chance to play it. Seems like a good price to get into. It was an entertaining game. Metal Gear, I will be consumed with that. Skyrim Mini will be consumed with that. Some of you, I don't know if any of you guys know, but for those of you interested in that game, I know a lot of stores are going to be having midnight release for that too, and that comes out on Friday. So just a heads up on that. What else do we have? LA Noire, the complete set. I don't remember how much it is, but something to look at. Need for Speed The Run. I'm still not sold on that. Yeah, I'm really not sold on that, so we'll see. And Plants vs. Zombies, cool. Rayman Origins seems like a fun game. Saints Row for those of you that are into the GTA type game. Ultimate MVC3, Capcom being whores, releasing another game. Street Fighter style, knowing that people like me are going to buy it. WWE 12. Just Dance, I don't know why I even highlighted that one. Probably because I'm going to end up being forced to play that game by the girls across the hall. And really, that's about it for PS3 for the remainder of the year. So, yeah, that's really all I got. But looking here in this section of the message board, NCAA PS3. For those of you that didn't know, Grand Theft Auto, I don't play it, so I really didn't even look into it, but I've heard through the grapevine that they have another game announced. And holiday release is just a thread that who started talking about who's going to get what as the year winds down. I don't know, something you may want to take a look at, see who's going to get what, so that might convince you to get a game to play with a certain group of people, if it'll be populated. And what else do we have? Of course, the polls will be opening. No surprise there. Conference, look at that stuff. See what your conference commissioner has going on. And then, of course, NDL Extra, that section, whatever. And other stuff. NDL Classifieds, never really looked in that, but you got stuff going on there. People selling stuff, people just trying to help out fellow league members for whatever reason, whether it be games or, as you can see there, Caribbean house for rent. So I think that'd be pretty cool if I actually had money. Being a college student, you don't get crap. Maybe Trendon had a point. You can see there, NDL2, some of the headlines, stuff to look at. Of course, Twitter feed gets updated. Hey, look at that. A Sunbelt team as the spotlight. That's cool. Outlaw, that game won't get played for a bit. I saw his extended absence. Hopefully, his health will remain in good order. So as some of us think, that probably is the reason why that he will be out for the rest of the month. Best wishes there. And yeah, really that's all that I have got for this section. Still got a couple minutes to burn here. I don't really know what to say. I noticed, I guess, since I got to do this a little bit later, that some games are winding down as far as games played. So I know Buckeye's not going to come out and just flat out say play your games, but yeah, you guys should play your games. And I know Christmas time is coming up, and we've got the shooters coming out, which is cool. The off season's almost here. It's only a couple weeks away. We'll get our break and we can enjoy our games then, but it's only 2 hours, so try to keep up. And it'd be nice if we could have a season without a bunch of turnover. Looking at, or what any turnover would be even better, but looking at this 2 threads on IGN I saw that were interesting for those of you guys that game share. Anything prior to, I think, November 18th is you still can be used on 5 systems, but anything after the 18th will be 2. So I don't know if this got brought to anyone's attention, but just throwing something out there for those of you that do, to make adjustments accordingly. And Uncharted is such a great game. I'm only on chapter 2. Not to spoil anything, but chapter 1, the bathroom scene was hilarious. My roommate thought I was crazy for finding that funny, but I find pain funny in general, as you'll see, because I had trouble finding a second interview, setting it up with time. So yeah, I'm gonna really just do a self-interview. So yeah, but looking at this, something I found pretty damn odd. Now, I know everyone loves Modern Warfare and Call of Duty, but the game only comes out in a couple days. I just can't see paying that much for a game early, especially when there's not going to be anyone online to play it, or hardly anyone. So Call of Duty fans are something else. That's really all I can say about that. Now, I got a really good laugh when I saw that, because that's just crazy. $1,000 for a game. Never thought I'd see it today. System, I could see those guys waiting that line, but yeah, that's just can't help but laugh at that. But anyway, just other thing, I guess, looking at reviews. I still have Batman sealed, haven't even got to play. GoldenEye, I've been able to play, it's pretty decent. So that's the end of this. Signing out for now, and one more clip, and that'll be it.